here's the real stupidity in all of this. The real stupidity.
Russo'sBrand.com, where the pros are the pros.
This was on AEW this week in the match between Adam Copeland and Jon Moxley. So go ahead, pop that up.
I just want to say two things real quick. Number one, this is far and away the worst thing I've ever seen in a wrestling ring, and I've seen Abdullah the Butcher many times. And number two, what you're seeing on Jon Moxley's face, I think Al can back me up on this. Al, this is not a man selling. This is a man in horrific pain. Am I right or wrong, Al?
And really questioning his decisions in life at that point.
And I'm going to go as far as to say this isn't only a man in horrific pain. This is a man who's scared, who's absolutely scared once he now realizes what we've done.
That there's a potential for a severe injury to his spine.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's frightening. It really is.
Yeah. And Jeff, I am going to look away because it got me one time because I wasn't expecting
you've already seen it. You've already seen it. So
I just listened to Tommy Dreamer describing it as they're trying to pull it out and the twisting of the skin. And he was like, and that's real. That's real. I'm like, are we that obsessed?
Yes, we are, Al. Yes. You got to tell us that's real. Yes, you got to tell us. Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake.
I swear to God, Al, the funny thing is I'm looking at this thing, hoping and praying that somehow they work this. And then I'm looking at this. I'm saying, bro, all right, here we go, Al. Enough. Here we go.
Yeah, so if you're on the audio, it looks like some type of spike bat.
So what it is, if you want to pause it for a second.
Oh, right there.
And then run it back from the beginning. There is a board. There's a 2x4 board. It looks like like they went and cut it off of a backyard shed. It's black, weathered, and it is got literally hundreds of 10-penny nails sticking up out of it like a hairbrush. Looks like a giant hairbrush. And basically Copeland is suplexing Jon Moxley on it. And Moxley lands on it literally in the center of his back, and it impales him to the point where he sits up and it's just sticking into his back. And
freeze that, Jeff. Freeze that.
They've got a close-up shot. These are all rusty nails too. That, remember back in the day, you'd step on a nail, you'd have to go get a tetanus shot.
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because back in the day when we were kids, we had real diseases like lockjaw and rickets, scurvy. Like we were like pirates on the playground. These are rusty nails. They're not even brand new nails. It looks like they literally just went out and got,
And let's say this too, Al, because if people are not watching the video, Al, I mean, it's fair to say there's over 100. So we're not talking about a couple of nails.
Which the gimmick on that typically is when you put that many, like when you see somebody laying on a bed of nails,
right?
It's the compression of space between the nails that doesn't allow any one single nail to penetrate your skin. But these nails are bent. A lot of these have been bent from the impact, and so lots of them have penetrated, and they look like they've went at least an inch or more greater into his skin, which means that he's now in danger of one of those piercing his spinal column. And now somebody in a white t-shirt is trying to pull it out along with the referee. Copeland's just disappeared.
Well, the guy tried. I do want to point this out too, Al, because I was assuming that the guy in the white shirt was medical staff. He's a wrestler. It's Yuta. Yeah. It's that Yuta Mayuta. A wrestler is trying to pull this shit out of Moxley's back. Not a doctor.
Yeah. Look how quite honestly, there should be a doctor or at the very least a paramedic or EMS in that ring immediately trying to remove this from his back. And there's not. It's a wrestler.
Look how far his skin is pulled up there.
Oh my God. You can see, and look how he's turned the board now. The board was horizontal and now it's been turned vertically because he's trying to release it out of Moxley's back.
I don't even know how you would get that out of his back. I don't even know how you'd get it out. It's not going to come straight out. It's skin.
Well, and the nails have now, the tips probably have bent.
Jeez,
and now have hooked into the flesh, and you're right. Moxley is not just in pain; he's scared,
and rightfully so. Al, rightfully so.
Yeah, he should be terrified.
Jeez,
look at the flesh. They're going to end up pulling, and of course, now remember, this isn't a medical because they probably. I'm not a medical expert, but if I knew, like an EMS or a doctor would say to not remove that until they got to the hospital and had the proper equipment, because they're going to do more damage as they pull that out of his back. And again, keep in mind, this is where it's right on his spine, and it could potentially, he could be paralyzed for life, while someone that is an untrained medical professional is not even a trained medical professional, is trying to remove the board from his back. He could paralyze him. It'll be surprising to me if there is not some kind of long-term price to pay for Moxley from this stunt. And that's all it is. Again, we've talked about it numerous times on the show each week. This is a stunt. This is all that is stunt wrestling. It's done for a momentary shock and awe. There is no long-term benefit to it. There is no long-term emotional payoff for it. There's no building of heat. There is no one that's going to get over for it. It's clearly an ego-driven thing of, hey, look how tough I am, and you think this business is fake. Well, I'm going to show you it's real in a real way. All poor decisions. And the worst thing about this, again, now keep in mind, and I have said this, look, it's not my circus, not my monkeys. And I had a conversation in my history class last night about this kind of behavior. Told a couple stories about a couple things and my part in instigating it to make it worse. Because if you're stupid enough to do shit like this, then I'm going to facilitate it. Like, go do it. All right. But this is bad business. And it's not just bad business for AEW. It's bad business for everyone. It is no wonder that we are still continuously looked down upon by the mainstream entertainment industry, even though we are just as much a factor in modern in pop culture and in the American culture of this country in regards to entertainment as the music industry, as the film industry, as the sporting industry. We are just as prevalent. We are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we look like we're a bunch of carnival barkers and freaks sitting here doing stuff like this. And how are we ever going to get and maintain and retain any modicum of respect and appreciation for our efforts and our skill in physical storytelling when we reduce ourselves down to this basest, lowest level of stunt performances, carnival stunt performances that literally turn off a large majority of an audience. If this worked and it genuinely drew money and fostered the belief that our athletes were genuine stars, don't you think WWE would have been taking this tact years ago? But they don't. And the reason they don't is because it's beneath them. And it should be beneath everyone. And it's not. And it's sad that this is on a major network and a company that's to represent an entire industry. It's absurd. And the lack of leadership that allows this to take place. And let's just say creatively, okay? Because again, it's subjective. Let's just say creatively that something within a storyline happened that would warrant this kind of action being taken. Let's just say, what exactly took place in the build-up to this match between Moxley and Edge, Adam Copeland, that required that a really raggedy ass looking 2x4 with rusty nails be laid in the ring and Moxley be suplexed on it? What? Now, keep in mind, over the years, we've seen lots of bloody matches. I mean, that was real popular back in the late 60s to even the late 70s, even a little bit into the early 80s. A lot of guys were real hip on, getting color and there was a statement that was made in the business back when I broke in. It was red means green. You got color, you got paid a little bit more in your payoff for doing it, and you were likely that you're probably going to up the house because people are going to leave and talk about it. But even then, things like this were never done. It was never enough. It was never selling the physical action of the weapon. It was the selling of the drama that the blood brought out in the heat between the two people. So if there was anything that occurred, because I haven't watched AEW thoroughly enough to understand what took place in the storyline that would even remotely explain or justify this.
I just want to go just a little bit further with two other things. First of all, I do want to point out, John Moxley.
Ever get it out of his back?
Huh?
Do they ever get it out?
We never see it come out. We never see it.
Yeah, he wins the match. He ends up winning the match.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What? But yeah, there wasn't footage of it coming out of his.
Wait. Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Hold on. After that,
yeah,
the match continued and he won.
Yeah. What don't you understand about that, Al? What don't you get about that, Al? Yeah, of course.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He rolled up Cope. Did he roll him up, Jeff, for the 1-2?
No, I don't think. I think he choked him out.
Choked him out, Al.
Yeah.
Why do this then?
I'm answering the question. Can I answer? You ask a question, I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
I wanted to point out two things. Number one, please remember, Moxley has a beautiful wife, and I believe they have a beautiful child. I think they have a kid. Okay. So he's got keep in mind, he's got a family. Okay.
Right.
Here's why they did it out. So Moxley obviously is in excruciating pain. Now he realizes what they've done. Now he's scared. He's literally scared. I guarantee you, Al, I don't care what a professional wrestler has ever gone through before. He's never felt this. He's never felt what this felt like. But here's why he did it, Al. You asked the question. You see the guy to the right of his head, the mark with the AEW shirt with his hands over his ears?
Yeah.
That's why he did it. That's why he did it, bro. He's getting that response from that guy that he doesn't know, has no idea who he is. That's why he's doing it, bro. He did it for them. He did it for the people. That's the answer to your question. And Al, we haven't even
do it for the people.
Let me finish one other thing, then I'm going to let you go. One other thing we didn't even discuss. Bro, they just signed a mega $1 million deal with TBS and TNT. There is no way they're okay with this. I guarantee you, bro, there is no way the network. No way, bro.
All this and shit their pants.
1,000%, Al. 1,000%.
Yeah, the guy is sitting at his big walnut desk and he's hitting the intercom and telling Stacy, his personal assistant, "Can you bring in my Depends? I just shit my pants."
Absolutely. That's the business end of it. No way, bro. This is okay with that.
This kind of behavior is unquestionably, undoubtedly is going to turn off more of an audience than it is ever going to garner.
It is. It is. So, Jeff, what was the finish? Go ahead.
The ref ended up pulling it out. The match continued. A bunch of other wrestlers got involved in the match, and then Moxley ended up choked out Copeland to win the match. Yes, and this wasn't even the main event, by the way. This was
Oh my God! Oh my God! Why am I getting exasperated like this? I'll tell you why. Again, you can say whatever you want. Oh, you don't like AEW. I don't care. except for the fact that we all desperately need. Would you quit flipping
Come on, Al, I'm listening.
We all have a investment in the wrestling business in AEW's success. If AEW, I've said this before, if AEW fails, then it is going to see a very clear and very strong message to every network executive that basically, if you ain't WWE, you're not worth the time of day. And that is going to exponentially make it that much more difficult for anyone else to possibly get and do business on any kind of level in the TV market, because they're not that much of an original thinker as far as out there in Hollywood. And you know that, Vince, you've dealt with them. Mm-hmm. You know, they play it very safe. And the other thing is, when you have a general audience, and I'm just talking Mr. and Mrs. Walmart, and don't fool yourselves, there are those people that will tune in, and if even for a moment, and when they, you know, look, the dad's going to be like, Jesus Christ, you know, and he's not going to get too worked up. We know that. Most dads don't. They just, what the hell is this idiot doing? And that's exactly the reaction you're going to get. What the hell is this idiot doing? Okay. The mom's going to go, oh my God, we're never watching that again. And then wrestling comes to town. You know, the traveling circus shows up. And then the first thing dad goes, well, wrestling's in town. You want to take the kids? And she goes, absolutely not. We're not taking it to that. Remember when you had that on TV the other week and that guy got dumped onto a board full of nails? We're not going to allow our children to sit there and watch that in person. Oh, what are you thinking? And then she goes on for the next 45 minutes and he's like, I ain't never bringing that up again. Yes or no?
Yeah. That's the reality of it.
And that's the reality of that kind of stuff. Not to mention, here's the real stupidity in all of this. The real stupidity. The magic, and I've talked about this before, the skill, the magic of professional wrestling is that once you enter in the ring, you can make anything. And I do mean anything, contrary to all of you assholes believe, because you're all, what bothers me and what frustrates me is when you all regurgitate the popular opinion. You don't take any time to have any substantive thought of your own. You just go, well, you know, it's because there's so much competition when they're not watching TV the same way. You just parrot what you hear from somebody else. You don't actually find out or realize it on your own. You just sit there and mouth other people's opinions. Now you're going to tell me that, you know, you're so wrong. When I go, well, you could literally make the old Von Erich Claw, especially now that the movie had just aired. You could literally give somebody that guy a finish, a guy that looks big and could get it over, and people would believe he could beat people with it. Do you know how? Because repeatedly, all you do is you go ask somebody to go, hey, when you go out there with him and he puts his hand on your forehead, will you squirm around and then get pinned? And they go, yes. And if you do that enough times, people go, oh shit, if he puts his hand on that another guy, he's going to beat him. It's that simple. You literally can make anything, everything. And now you've made a rusty, decrepit, disgusting, moldy board full of rusty nails mean nothing because it wasn't the finish of the match. So what's Copeland going to do the next time he wrestles Moxley? Shoot him with a gun? Because apparently that's what it's going to take. You literally, you can do whatever you want in the ring. That's fine. But you literally sit there and you bury everything you do. That's why we're now in a situation where a guy has a finish and he has to hit it 5 and 7 and 10 and 12 times on somebody because that one ain't enough and it might make him look weak since, you know, so-and-so had to take 3. Well, you got to hit me with 5. So let's just bury everything we do so that we have to work even harder to convince anybody that anything has any actual consequence. And let's face it, the only actual consequence to absolutely anything you do, which, you know, normally I would have said this and we'd have all laughed, even though we've watched multiple videos, even if you set another human being on fire, the only consequence to doing that is that you could potentially beat the person. But now we can suplex somebody onto a board full of rusty nails and he can just get up and keep going on with the match after the referee and another wrestler pry the board out of his spine. How ridiculous have we gotten? Thank you.